In a peaceful village surrounded by green fields and tall mountains, there lived a wise old man named Halim. He was known for his deep wisdom, and people from far and wide came to seek his advice. One day, a young man named Kamran visited Halim. Kamran was confused about life and had many unanswered questions in his heart. He had traveled a long distance to find the old man, hoping to get some guidance. When Kamran reached Halim's small, simple house, he found him sitting under a large tree, reading an old book. Kamran greeted him respectfully and said, "Master Halim, I have come from far away to ask you 3 important questions. These questions trouble me day and night, and I cannot find peace without knowing their answers." Halim closed his book, looked at Kamran kindly and said, "What are your questions, my son?" Kamran took a deep breath and said, "My first question is, what is the most important time? My second question is, who is the most important person? And my third question is, what is the most important thing to do in life?" Halim smiled, but did not answer immediately. Instead, he said, "Come with me, Kamran. Spend a day with me and you will find your answers." Halim led Kamran toward a nearby forest. The path was narrow and trees stood tall on both sides. Birds chirped in the trees and the soft sound of the wind made the atmosphere peaceful. After walking for some time, they reached a small stream where the water was barely flowing. A large tree had fallen, blocking the stream's path. The plants near the stream looked dry and weak because they were not getting enough water. Without saying a word, Halim started removing the fallen branches from the stream. Kamran was confused but decided to help. Together they worked hard, lifting heavy branches and clearing the path for the water. The sun was hot and sweat covered their faces, but they kept working. After some time, the water started flowing smoothly again. The stream became clear, and the nearby plants began absorbing the fresh water. Life had returned to the forest. Kamran wiped his sweat and said, "Master Halim, I do not understand. What does this have to do with my questions?" Halim smiled and said, "Patience, my son. You will understand soon." As the sun began to set, Halim and Kamran sat under a tree to rest. Suddenly they heard the sound of footsteps. A tired and thirsty traveler appeared from the forest. His clothes were dusty, his lips were dry, and he looked very weak. The man reached the stream, bent down and drank the fresh water. After drinking, he turned to Halim and Kamran and said, "Thank you. You do not know how much you have helped me. I was lost and had no water for hours. I thought I would die of thirst, but now I feel alive again." Halim simply smiled and nodded. The traveler, after resting for a while, continued his journey. After the traveler left, Halim turned to Kamran and said, "Now tell me, do you have the answers to your questions?" Kamran thought for a moment, and then his eyes widened with understanding. "Yes, Master Halim, I do. The most important time is now, because it is the only moment we truly have to act. The most important person is the one who is with us in the present moment, because they are the ones we can help. The most important thing to do is to do good for others, because through kindness and service we find true purpose in life." Halim smiled and said, "You have learnt well, Kamran. If you remember these 3 lessons, you will live a life full of meaning and peace." Kamran thanked Halim from the bottom of his heart and left the village with a clear mind and a happy soul. He spent the rest of his life helping others and living every moment with wisdom. And so, the legend of the 3 questions continued to be told in villages far and wide, guiding many lost souls toward the path of goodness. Moral of the story: live in the present moment. Help those around you. Kindness and good deeds are the greatest purpose of life. Please like, share, and subscribe this channel for more amazing stories like this, and also tell me that how was the story. Did you like?